On a hot day like today, it's really nice to walk into a cool, air-conditioned building.
We've actually come to take it for granted that the inside of buildings will be a comfortable temperature.
Let's face it, we love our air conditioning, but most people don't really understand how air conditioning actually works, how it makes it cool and comfortable.
That's the mystery we plan to unravel today. I'm Susie.
And I'm Brian.
At the end of this video, you will be one of the lucky few who actually knows how your AC system works. And it all starts with a quick physics lesson.
And trust me, this next bit is the key to getting it.
There are several principles of physics at the heart of how every air conditioning system works. Physics is the science of matter, energy, and force. Matter comes in three basic states: solid, liquid, or gas, and it can change from one form to another. We experience that every day in lots of ways. Take water, for example. Ice is water in solid form. It melts and becomes a liquid. We heat liquid water and it evaporates and becomes a gas. We cool that gas down and it condenses back into a liquid. Evaporation and condensation are key principles used in air conditioning.
Another principle is that heat energy always moves from hot to cold. We see this every day too. When we put a pot of water on a hot stove, the heat of the burner will move from the hot burner to the cold pot and heat the pot and the water in it. The heat from the warm pot and water will also move into the cooler air surrounding the pot.
There is one last, not so obvious physics principle we need to know, related to pressure. If you increase the pressure within a container of gas or compress it, the temperature will also increase or go up. And vice versa, if you decrease the pressure, the temperature will go down.
Okay, the physics lesson is over. Now it's time to get inside one of these things and see how it turns all of that science into cold air.
We're going to build an air conditioning system one piece at a time and show you how those physics principles come into play.
At the heart of every air conditioning system is a closed system with multiple components in which a refrigerant circulates. That's why it's called the refrigeration cycle. Refrigerant is a material or chemical that has a much lower boiling point than that of water. That low boiling point is a big part of the secret that makes air conditioning work by making it possible for the refrigerant to change from liquid to gas and back to liquid again as it goes through the cycle. We'll start with the part of the system that actually cools the air, the evaporator. It's a long tube or coil that the refrigerant passes through. It's called an evaporator because refrigerant enters as a saturated liquid, then evaporates and leaves as a vapor. But what makes the refrigerant evaporate, and how does that process cool the air? The temperature of the refrigerant inside the evaporator coil is approximately 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The air around it is warmer indoor air. Let's say it's around 74 degrees. And there's a fan blowing that warm air across the evaporator coil. Because heat moves from hot to cold, the heat in the air is going to move from the warm air into the cold coil, heating up the refrigerants inside. With that very low boiling point, the refrigerant starts boiling and evaporates quickly, turning from liquid into a saturated vapor. As a vapor, the refrigerant continues to absorb even more heat from the air. We call that superheating, and it ensures that only vapor leaves the evaporator.
Oh, and by the way, as the heat moves out of the air, the temperature in the air will drop about 18 to 20 degrees. And we've achieved cooler air, just like that. And with that drop in temperature, it also allows the moisture in the airstream to be reduced, making it less humid, which also makes it feel more comfortable. This part of the process is known as dehumidification.
But how to keep the cycle going? That's the trick. Somehow we've got to turn that vapor back into a liquid so we can start the process all over again. That's where the condenser comes into the picture. The condenser is a coil much like the evaporator. But the purpose of the condenser is to remove the heat from the refrigerant that was absorbed in the evaporator and to allow the refrigerant vapor to change back to a liquid. The condenser does basically the opposite of what the evaporator does. It gets the heat to move from the refrigerant into the air blowing across it. But for that to happen, the refrigerant needs to be hotter than the air around it, which is going to be hot outdoor air, let's say around 95 degrees. The vapor coming out of the evaporator is only around 40 degrees. What can we do to change that vapor so that it will be hot enough for its heat to move from the refrigerant to the air? Our physics tells us if we increase the pressure in a container of gas, the temperature will go up. So we add a motorized compressor to our air conditioning system. And it takes the cool, low-pressure vapor from the evaporator and applies pressure to convert it into a high-pressure, high-temperature vapor. And it gets very hot, around 160 degrees or more. Now, this very hot vapor can enter the condenser coil, and as it passes through, the heat in the refrigerant moves into the air and the refrigerant cools quickly and condenses back into a liquid. The liquid refrigerant releases even more heat into the air. We call that subcooling, and it ensures that only liquid leaves the condenser.
The last piece in our air conditioning puzzle is a metering device that lowers the pressure on the liquid refrigerant. And just like increasing the pressure made the temperature rise, dropping the pressure causes a drop in temperature, back to the low temperature we need to make the evaporator work. And the cycle is complete and starts all over again, keeping our indoor air cool.
Pretty clever, isn't it? By taking advantage of several basic physics principles, we have a system that will continuously cool the air inside a building.
Yeah, these systems come in several different configurations, but they all work the same way using the same principles. We're going to take a look at a few, but to understand how they're set up, we need to go back to our basic system and note something really important about it.
Every air conditioning system can be divided into two sections based on the level of pressure within the system. The low pressure section extends from the metering device through the evaporator to the inlet of the compressor. The high pressure section extends from the compressor through the condenser to the inlet of the metering device. They are often referred to as the low side and high side of the system. Some systems are self-contained. In those systems, all the components are located within the same unit. Rooftop units are often self-contained, but there are also indoor self-contained systems.
Other systems are split into two units. That split can be done in two ways. Some split systems have a remote condenser which is located outside, while all the other components of the systems are located inside. Other split systems are divided with the low side of the system with the metering device and the evaporator in the indoor unit, and the high side of the system with the compressor and the condenser in the outdoor unit. This arrangement is pretty typical for home air conditioning systems.
Of course, there's lots more to learn about how AC systems are set up, configured, and controlled. There are some pretty cool variations like water-cooled systems and specialty systems for data centers.
But you now know the basics, and when you see an air conditioning system, you won't just see a big box, but a fascinating use of the laws of physics to make our lives more comfortable.